Hey, I'm Larry Janeski from Dr. Energy Saver.
And I'm Kelly Laffler from Dr. Energy Saver and Munn's Air Conditioning in the Orlando, Florida area.
We're here in this southern climate to talk about something that is incredibly important for homeowners here, and that's air conditioning.
Yes.
You know, it gets so hot down here in the south, and we need to be able to cool our houses to make them comfortable. In fact, that's really the point of a house, is to make a comfortable environment for people to live. And we can spend a lot on air conditioning or a little on air conditioning at the cost of running it. We can make our houses more or less comfortable depending on the equipment that we use. First, we're going to talk about low efficiency air conditioning. Kelly, what do we have here?
What we have here is a 17-year-old Carrier unit. It's about a 3-ton system. As you can see, it's been sitting here for quite a while. You can see all the oxidation. We have a palm tree even that's grown up behind the unit, which really helps. Doesn't help it much. It pushes it out off the back of the pad.
Okay.
Lets it sit forward. You can see down here along the edges how this has been moved sideways in every other direction. It's sitting right now a good 3 inches off the pad.
Right. So this is 17 years old.
Yes, sir.
You said. Now, what does that tell us? That it's 17 years old. What do we know right off the bat?
Well, what we know right off the bat is we're dealing with a lower efficiency unit. And most people may not understand, even though they may have a 6 or 8 SEER unit, over time, these units actually lose efficiency. So it could be operating at a 6 or 4 SEER at this point in time.
Okay, so now when we say SEER, we mean that's S-E-E-R. What does that mean?
What that is that's your seasonal energy efficiency rating. And that tells you basically how efficient the unit's running. The less efficient it runs, the more energy it costs to run the unit. So by looking at these, you can see these homes typically are going to spend a lot more money on air conditioning than a newer home or a newer unit on a home.
Okay, so when we say how efficient it is, the efficiency rating, doesn't that mean how efficient it is at turning electricity, and I'm going to call that dollars, okay, because we pay for electricity.
Correct.
Right? How efficient is it at turning dollars into cold air? Right?
Yes.
Okay, so the SEER rating on this when it was new might have been, you said 6?
Probably a 6 or 8 SEER unit at most.
Okay, and now it's old, it's running at
probably
4.
a 4 to 6 SEER is what we're running at.
All right,
these days.
So the state of the art today, what's the highest SEER rating that we can get on a brand new unit?
The highest SEER rating you can get on a brand new unit is around 19 or 20 SEER.
So 19 or 20 SEER, and this thing's running at 4. Well, that's a big reason to upgrade, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
All right, so Kelly, ultimately the heat from the house is escaping out of the air conditioning through these little fins, or might call it a radiator. People understand what that is. And so the heat is coming off of here, right?
Yes, sir.
And then if we have vines and weeds and leaves and stuff growing up around here, then what happens?
Well, what happens is just like you say, a car radiator. As you block airflow, it builds up heat, it causes the unit to malfunction, works harder, so it takes more dollars to make that cold air, as we said earlier.
Okay. What do we got? On this side, we have 2 refrigerant lines coming here. Tell us about these.
Well, what you have here is you have your 2 refrigerant lines, your liquid line, your suction line. And with this, as you can see, over time, this insulation has broken down from all of the hot and humid air. So it's no longer has that insulating factor that it once did.
So this is the cold line.
Yes, sir.
And so we're making our refrigerant cold. We're sending it inside to another radiator that we have a blower blowing over the cold coil and then sending that cold air to the house. But this has no insulation whatsoever.
Correct. You can see it's broken in a number of spots on its way in.
Yeah.
And even the parts that do, this is not as effective as it once was. All of the outside covering, as you can see, is peeling away. It's dry rotting on top of it.
Okay, so this is another place where we're losing efficiency.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so Kelly, here we have a 17-year-old evaporator coil and blower, and what do you see here?
Well, what you see here is you can see just how dirty the inside of this unit is from not being maintained.
It is terrible. I mean, look at this. Oh my gosh. And you see dirt. This is just black with dirt. And this is where your air supply that you're breathing is running through here.
Correct. As you can see, it has a lot of rust over time from water, just the dirt sitting on top of it. And like you said, your air flows through here across this cold coil and blows through the plenum to the rest of the house, and that's what creates your cold air and your air conditioning in the home.
Mm-hmm. And you see, oh my gosh, even on the wires, you got organic growth, and on the insulation on the inside of the cabinet, organic growth. And do people in this house have allergies?
Yes, they do. The one daughter has pretty bad allergies, and so does the father.
Yeah, so it's really no wonder you're running your entire air supply through this really dirty, infested environment constantly, and these people obviously haven't had this serviced in some time.
No, you could tell that if it's serviced. One of the things that the air conditioning companies will generally do will come in, you'll clean the coils. You would not have this buildup just across it. The contactors would not have the corrosion that you can see along the wire, because we would have replaced that, and just keep it in a better working state.
So, yeah, they need to have your company start a service program here.
Yes, they do.
Yeah. Okay, so any age air conditioner needs to be maintained, right?
Yes, we recommend at least once a year from the time it's started, especially if you have extended warranties. These days, the manufacturers require manual maintenance on them to keep them operating in peak performance.
Okay, let's take a look at some of the supply grills and see if they're dirty. Now, Kelly, we have our return box here, and we have this central return, but I see a lot of dirt on here.
Correct.
Oh my gosh, that is just terrible.
That's where all the air in the home is being pulled through, and as you can see, there's just a large buildup of dirt and dust and other items that, again, you hope that your filter will catch all, but it won't catch all of that.
So in this case, we're sucking return air from really close to the floor, where we could have a lot of dust and so forth, sucking it right into the air conditioner. We have duct work in the attic. If there's leakage in the ducts in the attic, we can add dirt in that way. And so all the more reason to have the system maintained on a regular basis.
Yes, it is very important.
Dirt is the #1 enemy of air conditioning, isn't it?
It is. Again, it can clog up many items. You have your standard filters there, and they can only catch so much. And what gets through, remember, gets into your air conditioning system, gets into that coil as we saw previously.
Which has very small slits in between the radiator fins, as we say. Very small spaces that can clog with dirt.
Right, and again, like you say, it's like a radiator. If you clog it up and you do not maintain it, it just makes the unit work that much harder and it's much less efficient.
All right, well, let's take a look at some well-maintained, high-efficiency equipment and show the difference.
Sounds good. As you can see here, this grill, you can see all the dirt around it. This is the daughter's room that has all the allergies, and these are some of the causes. You've got all this dust and allergens. They could really use a duct cleaning as well as a new air conditioning unit.
People with asthma and allergies go to the doctor, the allergist, and they get prescriptions and take drugs and try to calm down the symptoms, and yet the cause right in their house.
You're correct.
Not good. All right, now Kelly, you're not only Dr. Energy Saver, but you're in the air conditioning business. And how long have you been doing that?
Well, Munn's Air Conditioning and Heating has been in the business now for 47 years. It's family owned. We're third generation.
So you know a thing or two.
Yes, sir.
About air conditioning, and here in Florida, right?
Yes.
All right, so here it is. This thing was sure is pretty.
It is a nice big unit, isn't it?
All right, so first thing I noticed, this is high efficiency air conditioning, is that it's tall.
Yes.
Tell us why.
The reason being is you have a much larger coil, which is that radiator we spoke about earlier. Gives it a larger surface for letting that air escape.
Okay.
Also, you have inside 2 compressors. It's a 2-stage unit for more efficiency.
Okay, so we have a bigger hot surface area to let there's a fan in here that sucks air through this unit here to let the heat escape.
Correct.
Right? Okay, and then you said 2 compressors, a 2-stage unit.
Yes,
and
sir.
Tell us what that means.
What it does is it allows the air conditioner to run at 70% of its total capacity when it's not required to run full out. So what happens is you can take a 4-ton unit like this, and it'll run at roughly a 3-ton.
Okay, so when we say tons, we mean 12,000 BTUs?
What we mean is every ton there's 12,000 BTUs, so you're roughly 48,000 BTUs for a 4-ton unit that are required. But when you're heating and cooling your house, it doesn't always require it to run on the high stage to bring the temperatures down.
So if it's not real hot outside, it's just a
Correct.
little warm outside.
Correct.
All right. So we're not running, you know, full out. We're just running sort of on low fuel economy,
Yes.
so to speak.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So when it's really hot out, both compressors will kick in.
Yes, sir.
All right. And what else about this unit?
What else you have? You'll notice also on these higher efficiency units, they're very quiet. You don't even hear them running most of the time
So
when
it's
they
not
turn
that
on. No,
outside?
none of that. With these units, a lot of our customers, they'll even tell us, you know, I can't even hear it. They have to go outside and check when they first get them to even see if they're running, because they just don't believe it can be that quiet.
Beautiful. I understand all heat pumps are air conditioners, but not all air conditioners are heat pumps. Is that right?
That is correct.
And this one is.
Yes.
So what does a heat pump do?
What a heat pump does is it also, not only does it cool your house, but it will heat your house in the cold season.
Okay, so in the summer, we're taking heat from inside the house, and the heat is coming off of this, and we're moving it outside so we can have cool air inside.
Correct.
And then in the winter, it's just reversing.
Yes.
Right? We're taking heat from outside and moving it inside.
Correct.
All right, so it has to have a reversing valve?
Yes, it has a reversing valve in here, which basically just takes it and turns everything the opposite direction. And in doing so, it takes that cold, like you said, the Freon from before, it goes inside a cold line. It then reverses it and takes the heat off the compressors and puts that inside to the coil and allows it to blow that warm air in throughout your house.
So we get heating and air conditioning.
Yes.
Forward and reverse. All right, so here we are inside with this high efficiency air conditioning system, heat pump, right?
Yes.
And we have our blower here.
Yes.
And our evaporator coil, our cold coil here.
Correct.
We have an electronic air cleaner.
Yes, we do.
We have in Florida, you use wood return plenums, right? Or a return
Correct.
box, as you call it. And we have our supply going out the top and our return coming back here.
Yes, we do.
All right, so let's take a look what's inside. That looks a lot cleaner than the last one, Kel.
Yes, it does. This one gets maintained at least once a year.
My lungs are feeling better already, actually.
There we go.
So one thing I noticed right off the bat is that this evaporator coil, the cold coil, is in an A shape.
Correct. That's an A coil in this one.
All right. And what's the advantage of having an A shape instead of
What
just
it gives
one
you
slab?
is it gives you two sides for the air to flow across, which helps with pulling moisture out of the air by having the two sides for the air to go across rather than just the one.
And there's more cold surface for the air to contact
Correct.
to get cold, just like there's more air surface outside for the heat to escape.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so we've got to match the interior evaporator coil with the condenser coil outside, right?
Yes, we do.
Okay. So, and then we have a variable speed blower here.
Yes. Yeah, this is a variable speed unit. What this allows you to do is for humidity control. It can lower the speed of the air as it draws it across the coil to draw more air more water out of the air.
All right, so in order to get water out of the air, we have to cool the air.
Correct.
And we have what's called residence time, right? Where how much time is the warm, humid air in contact with cold surfaces, and the longer the amount of time it's in contact with it, the more water it's going to condense on those coils.
Correct.
Right? All right. So, and a variable speed motor also will just run if you only need a little bit of cool air. If it's not so hot out, right? It'll run
Correct.
at a lower
It will
speed.
run at a lower speed.
Okay.
Which pushes, like you say, it less CFMs through the house, providing you only what's required to cool the home instead of just an on and off.
Right. So if we didn't have a variable speed motor, when the air conditioning came on, it would go and then stop.
That is
right?
it.
And with a variable speed, it ramps up slowly, right?
Yes, it does.
And then comes down slowly, getting all the cool air out of the ductwork.
That's exactly what it does.
Okay, so then our experience in the house is less drafts and more comfort for us.
Yes.
All right, so how about this electronic air cleaner?
What this does is it provides you with a couple of things. It provides you with better filtration than a standard, through the wall return. It's 4 inches thick, so it has much more contact surface for particles to go through.
Okay.
So that if it doesn't get it on the first pass, it has more room to get through. Also, it has, being electronic, it has a thin wire that runs across there that's electronically charged. That helps capture viruses and other things through there. And over time, by sitting on electronically charged wire, it will actually kill them. So that you don't pass through these allergens and other colds and viruses and things through the house to others, and help keeping you a little bit healthier.
Very good. And so here's our return duct, return trunk, our return plenum, and then we're cleaning the air before it goes through the evaporator coil so that we don't get dirt clogging up all these little fins here.
Right.
So the key is keep it clean. And how many SEER is this unit?
This unit should be about a 17 SEER unit.
17 SEER, and it's several years old.
This unit's about 2 years old.
Okay.
It's been running for a few years. As you can see, like any unit, I mean, you have water, so you're going to have a little bit of rust and things across the metal. You can't help that.
But I don't see any dirt.
No,
it's
sir.
Well maintained.
No, sir.
Yeah. So now, Kelly, this is something that's important for people to know, is that the cost of air conditioning our house is kind of like an iceberg.
Yes.
And the part above the water line, we all know that the iceberg, only 10% of the iceberg is above the water line, and that's the cost of the equipment itself.
Right.
And the whole big part below the water line is the amount of electricity that we're using through this equipment over the life of the equipment.
That is correct.
So with high efficiency equipment, we can cut our costs over the long term of that big part below the water line if we'll just spend a little bit more on the equipment when we're buying air conditioning.
Yes, it's very beneficial to do that. Like you say, over time, it is upfront costs, but over time, with the variable speeds, the 2 stages, you will cut the bottom of that iceberg in half sometimes.
Yes, and especially compared to the low efficiency one we just looked at. Boy,
yes.
So if you're shopping around for air conditioning or heating for that matter, and we're going to take the lowest bidder, we're going to get the lowest price, we're going to get a low efficiency unit.
You are.
And we're going to just continue to have higher monthly bills as a result.
Correct.
So it's not wise to look for the lowest price when you're shopping for air conditioning and heating. Spend more, get the very highest efficiency that you can get in heating or air conditioning, and you will save money in the long run.
You will.
And actually, sometimes the not so long run.
Yeah, like you say, it just varies depending on the efficiency of the unit. The higher the efficiency, the more you'll save, so it takes less time to pay it back.
Well, Kelly, I think it's been fascinating looking at the actual equipment between low efficiency and poorly maintained equipment compared to high efficiency equipment. I appreciate it and wish you best of luck here in Florida.
Thank you, sir.